So here's some of the problems from the assignment to get you going. Starting with number 1, we need to evaluate the 6 trigonometric functions of the angle theta. So theta's right here, we have a right triangle. The first thing we need to do is find the distance of the hypotenuse, so we can find all of these values here. And I would just use the Pythagorean theorem. So 9 squared plus 12 squared is actually equal to 225. We take the square root of that, and so the hypotenuse is 15. So now we're just going to find these values right here. So sine is opposite over hypotenuse, so that would be 12 over 15, but you always reduce your fractions. 12 over 15, let's see, 3 will divide into each of them. So this first one is 4 over 5. The cosine of theta is 9 over 15. So 9 over 15, and then that reduces to 3 over 5. And then the tangent is opposite over adjacent, so 12 over 9. And then that reduces to 4 over 3. So notice that the tangent can be a number bigger than 1, but the cosine and the sine never will be a number bigger than 1, because the hypotenuse is always the biggest number. So cosecant is the inverse of this, so you just flip it over, 5 over 4. The secant is the inverse of the cosine, so you flip it over, 5 over 3. And the cotangent is the inverse of the tangent, which is just 3 over 4. Number 3, we're letting theta be an angle of the right triangle, and we have a picture for us already, so we're going to use that. Use the 2 trigonometric functions. Tangent of theta is 4 over 9. Well, the tangent is the opposite over the adjacent, so I know that this side is 4 and this side is 9. So those are the values you put in here. To find the hypotenuse, you would take 4 squared plus 9 squared, and then take the square root of that answer, and it is the square root of 97, which is the hypotenuse. So that's what this value is over here, square root of 97. So those are the 3 values of the lengths of the triangles right there. Now we need to find the trigonometric functions. So sine of theta, sine is opposite over the hypotenuse, so it would be 4 over the square root of 97. Now we can't leave that 97 in the denominator because it makes it an undefined or an irrational number in the denominator. Square roots can't have that. So we multiply top and bottom by the square root of 97, square root of 97, and you end up with 4 square roots of 97, all divided by 97. And that can't reduce, so that is just your answer. The cosine is 9 over square roots of 7, and if you notice, if you multiply both sides by, or top and bottom by square root of 97, you're going to end up eventually with 9 square roots of 97 over 97. The tangent is opposite over adjacent, so it's just 4 over 9. The cosecant is the inverse of this, which was the square root of 97 over 4. Secant is square root of 97 over 9, that should be a 9. And the cotangent is the inverse of the tangent, which is just 9 over 4. Number 4, let theta be an acute angle of a right triangle. I don't have a picture, so I'm going to draw a picture in. So I'm going to draw a right angle and call my angle here theta. And I know that the sine is opposite over the hypotenuse, And then the other thing I need to find is the adjacent side. So if I take 11 squared and I subtract 7 squared, I get 72. And if I take the square root of 72, the square root of 72 can be reduced to, I know that 36 is a perfect square, 36 times 2, so this is 6 square roots of 2. So the cosine is 6 square roots of 2 over 11, and the tangent is 7 over 6 square roots of 2. But I have to get rid of that square root of 2. So square roots of 2, top and bottom. So final answer would be 7 square roots of 2 all over 6 times 2, which is 12. And on these, when you put this into the online assignment, the answers, you just leave them as fractions. Just put them in as fractions and keep the square roots and everything just like that. You don't have to change them to decimals. The cosecant is the opposite. It's 11 over 7. The secant is 11 over 6 square roots of 2. So again, we've got to reduce that, or we've got to get rid of that square roots of 2. So we end up with 11 square roots of 2 all over 6 times 2, which is 12. The cotangent is 6 square roots of 2 all over 7. Number 6, find the value of x for the right triangle. When I look at the angle, I can see I'm looking for the adjacent. I know the hypotenuse. So I know that I'm going to use cosine, because cosine uses adjacent and hypotenuse. So I write the cosine of 60 degrees is equal to x over 9. To solve for x, I'm going to multiply both sides by 9. And so you plug that in your calculator, and you have 9 times the cosine of 60 degrees, and you get 4.5. Number 9, solve the triangle. Now the word solve means find all the measurements. So we need to find all 3 angles and all 3 sides. 2 of the angles are given already. C is 90, B is 36. I'm going to write that in because that will help me. So I know that the other angle is going to be 90 minus 36. So I just put that in my calculator, and so A is 54. Side A is always opposite angle A, so that's 23. And I don't know this side or the hypotenuse. So I'm going to use the trig function, and let's see. I'm looking for B. I know the adjacent, that's the opposite, so I'm going to use tangent. So I have the tangent of 36 is equal to B over 23. So to solve for B, I'm going to multiply by 23. I grab a calculator, and I put in 23 times the tangent of 36, and I get 16.7. So B is 16.7. And I just read the instructions. It says solve to the nearest hundred, so it is 16.71. To find C, I could just use the Pythagorean theorem. So I know that 23 plus 16 squared is 23 squared, plus 16.71 squared is equal to C squared. So I just grab my calculator and find out what that answer is. 23 squared plus 16.71 squared is 808.2241. Then I take the square root of the answer there, and I get 28.43 if I round it to the nearest hundredth. So So 28.43. Number 11, to measure the width of the river, you plant a stake on one side, and then you walk 100 meters down and measure a 79-degree angle between the stake and the boulder. What's the width of the river? So I look at my angle here. In comparison to the angle, this is the opposite, this is the adjacent, so that tells me I'm going to use the tangent. The tangent of 79 degrees is equal to the opposite side, which is W, over the adjacent side, which is 100. So to find W, I just take 100 times the tangent of 79. Grab a calculator, and you go 100 tangent of 79 is 514.455. It says round to the nearest meter, which would be 514 meters. And that should get you started on the assignment. Have fun.